Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and solutions to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your life on your terms. I'm Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Cathy Norris. Cathy is the president of Sensational Leadership. She is an executive coach who specializes in helping executives and leaders at all levels build their emotional agility and empathic communication skills. She has coached leaders to move through crisis, like this year, prevent derailments, and create positive work environments by as much as 50 to 100%, drawing on over 20 years of working with companies such as AT&T and Walmart. Cathy integrates her experiences as a consultant and a learning and development manager to information technology, financial services, healthcare, and government, with leading research in neuroscience and emotional intelligence. All right, welcome to the show, Cathy.
Thank you, Sheila. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. I've been so looking forward to it.
It's so good to have you. Well, it sounds like you've done a lot, and helped so many people. I based this show on my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps: The Formula to Go from Rock Bottom Back into Action in Any Situation. And this year we have had a heck of a situation globally. And we need all the help we can get getting back on track and rebooting. So what do you have a story maybe of a time in your life, in your business career, or maybe this year where you hit a tough spot and were able to get back on track?
I certainly do, Sheila. As a matter of fact, my story of hitting my rock bottom was what really helped me start my new business. And I have to say, I did a webinar back in April with about 100 people, and started off by talking about how this pandemic seems like the biggest disruption many of us have faced ever. And it even felt like that to me because living alone, I'm very, very social, and suddenly everything was shut down, and it's just affecting everything in our lives. And yet I did a poll. For how many of you is this the biggest disruption you've ever experienced? And a surprisingly large number, I don't remember what it was, but it was surprising, maybe almost half said, no, this isn't the biggest disruption I've experienced. And actually, it's not for me either. So mine hit me when, first of all, it came right after like the biggest opportunity in my life. And I love listening to your story too, about how you've rebooted and after different crises. Well, for me, I had this fantastic opportunity. I was working for a global company in learning and development, and I got to go to live in Singapore and manage all the learning and all the training programs in Asia Pacific. It's very exciting. And I got there, had picked out my apartment with my husband. We had gone there together first. So I started my engagement there. And then one after another, these disruptions came into my life. The first one was on a call about 2 months in. He told me that he decided not to come. He decided not to come, and he was getting therapy and sorting out our marriage.
Oh my.
Yeah, so I thought I would be there with him, and now I was alone. And the second, well, just even that, my job was really stressful, actually, because I was dealing with every country and meeting global's needs, every country's needs, trying to accommodate everyone, which was what I naturally would do when I was bringing into play more leadership capabilities than I had experienced before. I was used to being a good girl and trying to make everyone happy. And now I actually had to help people. I had to negotiate. I had to not always follow the rules. And I was a rule follower, not so much now anymore, but it was really stressful for me. So I actually got lonely. And was very stressed, and I saw a psychologist who determined that I was clinically depressed. I wasn't sleeping, so I started taking Ambien, and I eventually became addicted to Ambien, taking 2 a night just to sleep around 5 hours. So that was pretty disruptive. And then my company started layoffs, massive layoffs. This was in 2007. And the recession that was starting around then had some role in that, but also the company just wasn't meeting their numbers. And so one by one, people on my global team were getting laid off. Then my boss's boss got laid off, and then my boss got laid off. So I knew it was coming for me as well. So this was really stressful. And then about 12 months later, or actually I was there for 18 months. So 14 months later, 2 months before I was supposed to leave, the CPA in our office came to me and said, I had my flight booked for July 2nd, and she came and said, oh, by the way, I see you're leaving the country. Your visa will be ending on July 2nd, but you won't be able to leave the country until you've paid your Singapore income taxes.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't even have a bill for my Singapore income taxes. I didn't, usually you report and you pay the next year, right? Mm-hmm. So I had no idea how to even do that. So of course, then I started corresponding with the Singapore IRS. I had paid the previous year, but didn't know I was going to have to pay, accrual before I left, or they would literally not let me on the plane. They would know. They would know. So I was totally freaked out. And it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. And on all the stress of having to leave and being in a condo, having to sell or get rid of all my furniture, all the things that you normally in my home country, I have a car, I have ways to do. I was just so stressed out. So one morning, a Saturday morning, I got up really early and I walked down outside to a park bench, and I finally I was at my wit's end, and I was like, I finally just cried. I had my journal with me, and I was like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to get anything. This is all such a mess. And I just let all my emotions out. And then I started just writing, and it was as if my pen was writing just from somewhere else. I was writing in really big words. I'm looking at this now because I don't have it memorized, but it was so incredible. And I use this to this day, go back and look at what I wrote that morning. All your actions, behaviors, and thoughts are your choice. Mm-hmm. You always control what you do, no one else, in every moment. Anything can and will happen. You can't control things other than your own actions. So that's like, okay. And then I just felt so liberated in a way. It was just amazing to feel that. I just had released all these emotions, and then just saw all these things that are happening are out of my control. And for some reason, I was able to accept it. Mm-hmm. And once I accepted it, I felt such release and relief. Mm-hmm. And I felt better. And then I just felt so good. I realized that once I accepted all these things that appeared out of my control, I could let go of the anxiety. Even though the situation was the same, I just let go of all the anxiety. And I actually started getting ideas. So I got an idea to go to the IRS building and sit there until they figured out my taxes, to find somebody in the building. And that, took maybe all morning, but that worked. I just started little by little, started seeing ways to get rid of my furniture, to take care of the things I needed to take. I thought, well, if I can't leave the country on July 2nd, I can always get a hotel room. I was freaked out because I wouldn't have my condo anymore, all of those things. But also that day, Sheila, I was still stressed. It was still every day, and work was amazingly stressful at that time. I had some huge assignments I was working on, and always depending on other people. So this was another lesson I was learning, was all these people's decisions that affected my ability to take the training from global into each of these countries, and just instead of feeling like I was controlled by them. I realized every day I created a list, how I want to live my day. And I just answered, I literally did this every morning. It was the only thing that kept me sane. In the morning, I wrote, what am I grateful for right now?
Yes.
And what do I want to happen today? Knowing I don't have any control, but at least what can my intention be? There, a lot of things, a lot of meetings planned. Just one thing that I most want to happen today. And then in the evening, I came back and asked, what was my happiest moment today? And guess what? It was always something totally unrelated and just something simple, like maybe discovering an amazing cookie at a bakery over lunch, or just something really simple were my happiest moments of the day. And I did that for a month, and it just helped me get through. And it helped me even see, how my attitudes were affecting my actions.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. And so what I learned from that experience that I realize now is something we all need. And hence I've actually I'm focusing my business just to focus on emotional well-being. But what I did that morning on that park bench was I identified my emotions instead of pushing them away. Instead of just, I'm just too stressed to think about what I'm feeling. I just sat there and gave in. 2, I let myself feel that emotion after I identified it. So, okay, I am totally stressed out, and I'm just going to feel it. I'm anxious. I'm afraid. And it was so funny because that's when I started realizing, what's the worst thing that can happen if I can't get on the airplane? I can get a hotel room. Duh. It's not like they're going to shoot me. I mean, it's just like we when we don't let ourselves face it, we don't really see that it's not as bad as we think. And then third was let go of the things you can't control.
Yes. Wow, that's beautiful. And I think, just this year, for some people, it has been challenging more than others. And then other people, we've had things happen in life that were way more challenging, like you said. And I think when we get and we face these challenges, we build resilience, and we learn so much about who we really are. And when you think about social media or friends you might know, and they kind of freak out, and you see who they really are. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they show up in fear, or they're acting different than how we know them because this is overwhelming. Yeah. And so that awareness and having that moment to embrace and honor your feelings, to give gratitude for the little beautiful things in life, can make all the difference. So if you have somebody that maybe an employee, or maybe a coworker, maybe a family member, or someone in your community that's kind of acting out, or just you not acting right or different, and you can tell they're really out of sorts, helping them just with a little bit of honoring the emotions and giving them a moment, and just let it be okay that they maybe lost it for a minute there, because it's not really 100% who they are. It's just fear, and that makes all the difference.
It so does. That is the key. It really is the key to be able to identify your emotions and build that resilience. And by the way, when I was experiencing all that change, and it was dramatic, losing my marriage, my home, my job, all at once in a foreign country where it's 22-hour time difference, so I can't talk to anybody, my friends very easily, but I had not built up any emotional resilience at that time in my life. So it was so hard for me to deal with it. So yes, my mission now is helping company and business leaders develop their own and their employees' emotional resilience so they can weather any storm.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we did that so much this year, and always it's so important how a leader shows up affects everyone in the room, and then anybody can be a leader. So you could have been just hired yesterday to clean. I mean, it doesn't matter what your position is in the company.
Absolutely.
But how you show up, the energy you bring, is going to change the whole energy of the room.
Yeah.
You know, it could go either way. You go in, you have somebody walk in the room and it's negative energy, and everybody's like, whoa, what was that? Oh, that one again. You know, and it's the same for positive energy.
Yeah.
You kind of forget that because, you know, it's easier for that negative energy, but if we bring so much positive, it changes the negative.
Mm-hmm.
It wipes that out. Like, you know,
they're both contagious. They're both, yes. One of the things I'm doing in my business now is I'm holding what I'm calling resilience connection groups with groups of people. They could be in the same company, or they could be from different companies in the same role. I have one group that's been going on since April, and we meet once a week, and the purpose of these groups is just to express your emotions.
Nice.
And be supported just to express your emotions. Heard. And it's such a release.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling your emotions, expressing your emotions. The thing is, and this is another key concept that I teach clients, is that emotions, they're like the weather. That's why I said weather any storm, because emotions are always changing.
Yeah.
And the more we can be with a distressing emotion, the more we can feel it through it, and it can change more quickly that way.
Mm-hmm.
If we keep putting it off, it's just building it up, right?
Yes. And I think that, you know, going through the grieving process per se, or some other process like that, you're going to go through a lot more emotions when you have a serious situation. Getting divorced is you're changing your whole identity. And
yes,
it's kind of an identity crisis for a minute, and then you have to kind of get your bearings and get back on track. And what happens, I've found, is that when you're honoring those emotions and giving it time for healing, then you can heal through it faster, or else it comes out, a trigger releases it, and it comes out in a wrong way that's not appropriate for the time or space you're in. That's something from way back that you never got to release or honor and embrace. So that really does make a difference. And it's okay. I mean, like when I lost my youngest son, he had a heart condition since 5th grade, and he passed away at 22, which was in December this last year. And all my kids, we talked about, it is okay to scream, cry, yell. But just honor every single emotion. And we still go through the ups and downs because it hasn't been all that long. And like, to make that okay. And I think in society, and especially in companies, sometimes that's not okay. So to have a safe space or a group to be able to go to get that out, so that then you can go back and do your work and have more productivity, have more success in the company.
Yeah. And it's not a one and done either, especially as you say, the huge grief of losing a loved one, going through death, many situations, or even, and you know, you can't really compare, because what one situation is for another, you never know, but it's not always a one and done.
Exactly.
I mean, like I said, in my situation, I'm still anxious every day. And I found a way to deal with it every day. And so by identifying your emotions, maybe in the morning, if you're going through a stressful time, just getting it out every morning, it's kind of like flossing your teeth, you know, getting out the plaque, and it builds up again, and then you get out a little more. And it's still better than not doing that, because then it can really build up and derail you.
So what suggestions do you have for people listening in today to do that? What activities or ways that they can get some of that emotion out in a healthy, safe way?
Yeah. Well, one thing I do want to say is that I created it's a checklist with those same questions that I used every morning back then. And I have it on my website if someone wanted to just go through those checklist questions. My new website is emotionalwellbeingatwork.com. So that's one thing that can really help, or even just journal what you're feeling. And I really thought about this, actually, Sheila, because you're talking about hitting rock bottom, and many people are hitting rock bottom. I just saw a wonderful, really lengthy article from in New York Times called Out of Work in America just came out. And all the people who are really have been hitting rock bottom with the being laid off this year.
Right.
And what I would say to them is, don't hold in your emotions. So it's the same thing, just don't hold them in. Don't hold them in. Identify them and express them. Share them with someone you trust. Find someone you trust, because it helps so much to say it to somebody else and just be heard. It really helps you release them. And it helps you know you're not alone, because that person may even be feeling something similar. But even just sharing them helps you know you're not alone. And then another thing I would share is connect. Just connect as much as you can to other people, because the more you connect to others, even strangers, you're building opportunities you may not know about. Yeah. I really believe that our society is changing. We don't know what's going to happen. Our structures may be changing. Money, can we really trust that? But building relationships, I think connections are the new currency. And every success story you've ever heard about is always through a connection, is it not?
That's right. Definitely. And I think that there's something to say with being able to listen on the other end of that, when people are sharing what's going on with them. You don't have to have every solution. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to become a coach. Just listening and, wow, I understand that must be really hard. I hear you. And I think that sometimes people don't need it fixed, or they don't have the answers, and that is 100% okay. Now, one of the things I am sharing about this year is the 211, which I know some of our friends work in the 211 industry, but in our program in BSA, one of the things that we talk about is that some of the people there do this 211. So any state in the United States, you dial 211, or you can do 211, Google 211 and the state you're in, and you get these resources like mental health resources, helping with getting off of an addiction. Maybe you need, like your situation exactly in Singapore, they didn't maybe have that, but here, okay, I can't pay my rent. What am I going to do? I just got downsized. This is happening a lot this year. So there's rent assistance, there's different programs. So maybe if you're running a business, or ask your employer, if you're working somewhere, to just share about the 211, or just to a friend to have, I don't know, I feel so much better just being able to say, okay, here's the resources I can offer, and here's the programs I have, and free groups and free resources. And there's additional for your state. There's a place you can go to get anything that you may need that you didn't know, because what we don't know makes all the difference. You could be hunting, somebody could be trying to get out of an abusive home, and they don't know the first steps and who to contact. So having that is such a gift.
It is. It is. And you don't have to, you can anonymously call 211, right?
Yeah. And it's free to give to somebody. It doesn't take a second to say, hey, just look this up.
I
am sharing a lot about that, because I'm hoping that anybody that needs help can hear that. And I really believe that whenever I have a guest on our show, their message, somebody is looking for the exact solution programs that you offer and your message. And so I think that's incredible. I'd love to hear more about so you're working with companies and you're moving it could be like all the different people in management, and they meet together and they go through their emotions. What have you seen as a difference from somebody just entering that and after like a month or two of doing that work?
Yes. Well, what I'm seeing is that these people who've been doing it a while feel more peace, more calm, more presence. They're more quick to gain fresher perspectives, new perspectives. They build empathy because they're listening to each other. there are so many benefits from it that are so amazing, because I'm not even teaching anything. They're doing it. They're sharing and they're listening. And through the act of listening, they're building also compassion. Many people shared they have more energy for the week or for that day. And if they have to miss, they're really sorry that they have to miss, even though it takes an hour out of their busy day or week. So as far as it can take a while initially, and then to a little bit of time to open up. And of course, it depends on how well people know each other in the group prior to joining. And if they're all brand new, then it takes more time to really open up and really share and be more vulnerable and be willing to share, even when they're upset. We've had tears on the call too, and everyone's supportive. And again, it's a release. It's such a gift to be able to share that with a supportive group.
That is wonderful. And I'm sure, I don't know, I wonder if there's any studies on if it changes as far as productivity or how people call out sick because of the stress of not dealing with the emotions, and how that can cause illness.
There is. I have some stats for you. I've been looking for the business case. So I did this, and this is amazing. Some of these stats are from pre-pandemic time. Depression and anxiety disorders cost the global economy $1 trillion each year due to lost productivity. So in the whole world's economy, $1 trillion a year. And I guess they're looking at correlating when people, there's all, when you're stressed, sometimes you're not coming to work, or you're sick, or you're, another thing is the costs, the medical costs, and that also cuts into companies' profits and productivities. In the US, businesses have been losing up to $300 billion a year as a result of workplace stress.
My goodness.
Before the pandemic, and since the pandemic, 90% of US adults say they're experiencing emotional distress due to the pandemic, which is almost not surprising.
That is a lot of people. And I'm wondering now, with our pandemic, many people are brought home to work. So now they're bringing the stress home to their families. And maybe now they have, in some situations, like I have I have 6 children. I adopted 3 are mine. So I have a full house a lot of the times. Even though they're grown, I now have 2 back because of the situation with is the dorms closed. And so you're not going to rent an apartment if you're not going to go to college right now. So everything's online. And I love having them home, but it is different. And so I think this emotional work and honoring your feelings, having a sit down, if you're the leader of your company, the leader in your community, or even just leading your home, especially if you're blending work and home life, is so important to have the time, and also have the time. It's not just getting out difficult emotions. I'm sure it's also getting in some fun time. And that's important too. We need that.
Yeah.
I think people go into survival, and it's like, I got to pay the bills, and now I've got to do like 3 jobs to pay the bills because my company cut me, and then I've got the kids home. And you could go into these stories, and everybody forgets to play and breathe and have time to honor each other's emotions and just, I mean, I will drop everything. I have things scheduled, but I will drop everything to just, okay, if my kids need to talk and they're going through, our ups and downs with getting through this grieving process, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I can't go out to dinner. I can't go do this and that because I've got my most important person in front of me. And that's the way it's been for us, but it is a lot of work to be able to do that at home. So what suggestions do you maybe for people that are in that situation?
Well, another suggestion I have is to connect to your passions and to what you love. It's really hard when you're so stressed out or really bummed out. And yet that can just provide such joy. Sheila, I just feel so compelled to share a story about that video that came out that was the guy who was singing Dreams by Fleetwood Mac on his skateboard. Have you seen that? It went viral. He was working in a potato factory in Idaho, and this video, and it's really short, and he's skateboarding and he's lip syncing for just a few words of the song, and this video went totally viral. I had heard about it, and I just found out the backstory. So he had his truck had broken down. It had 320,000 miles on it. It had broken down, so he got on his skateboard to ride to work, and he recorded the video. I mean, his truck had just broken down. And then later that day, he just thought, I'll just post it on TikTok. And it went viral because he's catching some joy there. And no one knows the backstory. I just read the backstory.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I just think that is so cool. And here's the end story. He was also drinking some Ocean Spray juice.
Yes.
Ocean Spray bought him a new truck.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? I love that. The energy of how we show up. In my book, I talk about in the Boots formula, being. And in all I'm being, it's in all I'm doing, it's who I'm being, it's how I'm showing up. It doesn't matter if I'm working with clients or cleaning my house or walking the puppy or having fun with family and friends. It's who I'm being. It doesn't matter what car I'm driving or what I have or don't have at the moment. It's being. And that brings everything else quickly into your life. I love that.
Yes, I love it. And when you connect to something you love, that's you. That's who you are. You're being.
Yes. And it's easy. It's easy. It's not hard, and I think that sometimes people are doing a job, and this year has been a blessing because they got laid off, and now they're doing their talent and their truth, and their essence is showing up.
Yeah.
It's so I get chills from that. I mean, it's so incredibly beautiful, and they're happier. And all of a sudden they realize a few months into it, there was a time when they're getting started, but now we're getting into it a few months, and they're actually making more money than they've ever made at the job they had. And it was a huge gift. So
that's what came out in this report by New York Times too. And it's a really in-depth, like, photojournalism. It's got the pictures of these people in their homes, and it started in like March and went all the way to October, and they kept revisiting them. And man, they were at rock bottom. They were at rock bottom. They lost jobs. They were losing their homes, their rents, everything. But many of them just started realizing, hey, I'm not going to get another job. I'm going to get this certification and start catering, or, and taking that control, letting go of the things they can't control and taking what they can, finding more joy. Yeah. How they're being too.
Right.
Yes.
That makes all the difference. And there's something about when you take personal responsibility. Yeah. When you say, okay, this person, okay, I got a divorce, or, something happened, COVID happened, my house burned down in 2017. That happened. And so did everybody else's in Ventura. I mean, like, it was miles of homes. It was whole cities were gone. And so I could say, okay, I'm going to give control of my emotional life to that one thing or that person, place, or thing. Or I could say, you know what, but I'm going to own how I'm going to respond to it. And that makes all the difference. You could sit in it for a long time and have the pity party. And you do for a day or two, you need it maybe. But then you got to, like, pick yourself up and you dust yourself off and move forward. And a lot of times it redirects you, and a life situation reroutes you to something even better that you never imagined. I ended up working and living in Beverly Hills. I didn't think I could do that. And within a month after losing everything, I had this whole new lifestyle, and it was even better than I imagined. So you never know.
You never know. You never know. It's so true. So true. I mean, my life is so much better as well. And I have a home and I live in the place that I love, Lake Tahoe. So I just.
Oh, how nice. Oh,
Yeah.
we have a good friend that you probably know that we'll talk about afterwards.
Okay.
One of my best friends that I love. She's like my stepmom, my best friend ever.
Oh.
So you'll probably know her.
Pretty small here.
Yeah, it is. It is. So yes, definitely. How funny is that? I love that. And I'm going to go visit her again soon. So
Great. Come visit me too. We'll get together.
I love it. So wonderful. So let's just for a moment now, let me pretend like you're working with a small company and you're just starting the first day with your program. What would you suggest? How would you, to give people an idea of how they would join your program and what they would do with it?
So the Resilience Connection Group program is interesting. I haven't quite found the way to help people understand what it is. It's like if they need it, they need it. And if they don't, I have to say, it's like, oh, this is, people who are doing this are really enjoying it. But however, one of my members of this long-going group, he wanted his staff to just learn. To learn emotional resilience. So I created a training program, an emotional resilience training program. And I started thinking maybe this is really the most important thing because people don't know what emotional resilience is. And so the steps, the first thing that I do is always going back. Well, actually, the very first, I was going to say identify your emotions, but before that, it's just even recognizing that we have power over our emotions and that the whole range of emotions is normal and it's part of our human existence. Just knowing that, understanding that it's perfectly okay to feel totally lonely and totally even worthlessness is it's on the range of emotions that people feel. And it's actually healthy to feel the whole range of emotions. It's not healthy to stay all the way in total joy. It's not healthy to stay down as well. And how, just learning about them and learning that they're human, learning how they are biological, neurological reactions, how we respond to fear, learning the facts about emotions and that emotions are different than our thoughts. Emotions do trigger our thoughts, but we can change our thoughts. So that's the first thing. So you asked me for the first thing. Should I go on?
You can go on a little bit. Yes, tell us more.
and then I really have people practice identifying their emotions. So let me practice with you. What emotion are you feeling right now?
Well, today and right now, I feel peace. I feel gratitude and I feel calm. I had a beautiful day with my daughter. I had a friend come over and help me do a whole bunch of landscaping work, and so my yard is beautiful again and all that stuff. And it's just nice, and I love getting to know more new people and sharing your message. So
it sounds like, because sometimes people think they're feeling an emotion, but it's not quite an emotion. But you sound so much like you're feeling there, definitely well-being, and it sounds like happiness.
Yes.
Too, maybe love, just love.
Yeah. And it feels good, and it could be that tonight I might have another emotion that shows up that something triggers. Oh, I have a memory, or and I do honor that, and we talk openly. That's one of the things that's really helped us with our healing process, to just talk openly about it. And in our society, since oh, don't cry, don't express yourself, and you're not sit quiet in school and don't talk about, oh, that really hurt your feelings or that made you feel XYZ. That's what we have to kind of unlearn.
Yes, we do.
Little children are connected. They're like, yeah, this is how
I know.
I don't care what you think. This is it. This is where I'm at right now.
I have so noticed that since I've been now doing this work. It's like, oh, the kids get it. They can release and then they're better. They don't.
Over. It's
Yes.
over, and they can have the joy and the love and the happiness because they gave themselves that moment. It doesn't have to stay forever or that long, but they totally, like, they're in it. They're like experiencing whatever it is. Yes.
And we hold back.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And even sometimes hold back from the joy. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel this much joy.
Oh, exactly. Oh, I'm apologizing for being happy today. Because somebody else, think about it. You go into talking with somebody else and you're so joyful and they're really down and they're like, could you please stop with your happiness? And so, because they get through their emotion or whatever. So that happens too. Yeah. And it is really important. This is a beautiful work. I think emotional well-being, emotional intelligence is one of the most important things that we can learn as in our businesses and our homes, because it starts at home, and we've all been sent home a little bit to our room this year.
I like that.
And if we're alone, I'm telling you, when I'm alone and before my kids move back home, I would just message. When I felt down, I would start messaging and checking on people and sending that, like, how are you doing? And they would be and I'd hit somebody that was in the same spot, but they were afraid to reach out.
That's so wonderful. So you do connect, connect.
Yes. That's the difference. By the time an hour's over, I'm not feeling down anymore. We're having great conversations, and they were feeling worse than I was. Okay. And it just, and so if you get a text or message from me, we just need to talk.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yes, it's really healthy.
And managing your emotions for others is important, and that is part of my training. So yes, you need to feel it and express it, but not in that moment. You need to also, so that's a whole different skill, and it's very important. And going back to this staff that I just trained, they learned to manage their emotions, and it saved them a client they were almost going to lose, because they were really having a hard time managing their emotions with this client. It was a staffing company, and after my training, the owner told me that they were able to, they changed their attitude of, realized, oh, we need to actually show this client, show him empathy, no matter how angry he gets, because we don't have staff for them or whatever, right. And it saved them $100,000 a year, he said, because they salvaged that relationship.
Wow. Well, we are coming to the end of our interview time, so I'd love to have you share about how people can reach you.
Yes, reach me. So go to my website, emotionalwellbeingatwork.com, if you would like to download the list, the checklist. I'm calling it an emotional well-being checklist. It's a daily checklist, or just to see what I'm doing. And you can email me at Cathy@CathyNorris.com. It's another website I have, CathyNorris.com. So it's Cathy@CathyNorris.com. For any reason, just get in touch.
All right.
Love to hear from you.
Okay. Thank you for being on the show, and we will be right back. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Sheila. Thank you so much.
Bye.